driving home from work, Erev Shavuos. All of a sudden, I see a boy frantically trying to stop traffic. I'm like, what's going on? I thought maybe he wanted a hitch. And he's pointing at another bacher that's lying on the floor. Not knowing exactly what to do, I called Hatzolah.
Hatzolah.
Hi, I'm calling to report an accident. There's a bacher lying on the ground on the street, unresponsive.
What's the address?
The corner of Lanes Mill and Alvarado.
It's a high priority, full ALS.
And units available in Lakewood, Lanes Mill, and Cedar Road for pedestrian struck.
I was in my kitchen preparing for Yom Tif, and right after I put the meat into the oven, a call came out on the radio for a pedestrian struck. Very close proximity to where I was down the block. I ran out of my house, jumped in my car.
Hatzolah, somebody just got hit by a car on the road in Cedarwood. Hi, Hatzolah, Lanes Mill Road. There was a boy that was hit.
There's a boy lying here unconscious. We don't know what to do.
There's a boy here that's been hit by a car and he's bleeding out.
I was the first person on the scene. I saw the look on the faces of the bystanders, the panic that they had in their eyes, in their body language, and it was something I'll never forget. The patient was not conscious, he was unresponsive, and his airway was not secure at all. As first responders, pre-hospital care is to make sure that the patient's airway is secure. So that's really what I was focusing on. Right away, I updated my fellow Hatzolah members and paramedics as to what we have on scene and to pretty much expedite their response.
Dispatcher, medics on the rush.
47, backing up, Cedarwood and Lakewood, 47.
We went from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds, knowing that we're potentially responding to a supercritical patient.
We have a rig stationed about a 1-minute drive from my house. I right away started heading towards the ambulance.
The patient had a catastrophic facial and head injury and needed immediate transport to a trauma center with operating room capabilities.
At that point, it became very obvious that his airway was compromised. What we needed to do was to intubate him to secure his airway. Because he was somewhat awake, we would need to sedate and paralyze him in order to be able to intubate him safely.
In trauma in general, what we call is the golden hour. Getting into a controlled environment is very, very important for a patient's survival. It's scoop and run as quick as you can, obviously stabilizing the patient as best as we can with the tools we have in the field, but ultimately getting into the trauma room is critical for a patient in such a critical state.
This is paramedic 7235 with a trauma alert.
The time from when the call was actually dispatched till we were in the trauma room was probably under 20 minutes. They had a full team waiting for us and they right away started care in the trauma room for the patient. At this point, we had no identification of the patient. We had no idea who the patient was.
Multiple organizations had gotten together. They were canvassing the neighborhood, trying to figure out potentially he's from one of the yeshivas, potentially he was a guest by somebody. It was a few hours to Shavuos, and for all we know, his parents sent their bacher off to yeshiva. They think he's sitting and learning the entire Shavuos when, in the meantime, he's in critical surgery in Jersey Shore.
We spent at least another hour and a half on scene collecting video footage, trying to piece the puzzle together where the patient came from and where the patient was going so that we can try to get a name on the patient and somebody that possibly has a positive identity on the patient.
I got a phone call from Rabbi Slomotz's son. There was a bacher found by the corner. It looks like it's in a bacher from out of the state. We should go through all the bacher and bas in yeshiva. I should look at the picture and figure out which one it is. So they sent me the picture and I told them, I'm sorry to tell you, that looks like my son from Woodlake. I couldn't get the picture out of my mind. So I was on the phone with Rabbi Slomotz. He said, you know what? For your nervin, call the yeshiva to see if he's there. I called Woodlake Yeshiva. Right when I called, I asked for Moshe Levi, and the bacher didn't want to answer. And Hatzolah, I don't know which Hatzolah member that came with his glasses, and I knew right away it was him. Baruch Hashem, 13 days after the accident, he woke up. Totally. He's talking. He was in the hospital for another 10 days after that, and then they transferred him to Kessler, rehabilitation for 3 weeks, and then he came home.
Obviously, the Rebbeinu Shloim is the one that saved his life, but the fact that we got him into the trauma room in less than a half an hour from when the impact happened is what ultimately saved his life.
Our first EMT was on scene within 45 seconds, followed by another member about 5 seconds later, followed by our first paramedic about 20 seconds later, followed by the medic truck about 20 seconds after that. So within 3 minutes, we had a full response.
In order to make a response like this possible, it's not only about the individual call, the individual responders that responded, it's about being able to have a machine that is always ready, that enables and facilitates this type of response whenever, wherever. Nothing that we do would be possible without the tremendous Yata D'Shmaya that Hashem shows us and our members and the Tzibah every single day. Yet, we need to do our Ishtadlus. Hatzolah does its Ishtadlus by constantly innovating, constantly advancing, constantly growing. Now we ask our partners, the community, to help us continue growing in that way, to help make answering the call possible.